Whoa.
Hey there.
There we are. Hi, gang.
It's Halloween. We can
do some spooky stuff.
We can be ghosts for the whole episode. Just put the camera on them and no one else.
There's weird stuff in this studio. I've been saying it since I started here. So there's been some unusual occurrences, and yeah, we're gonna set up cameras. I mean, we got them everywhere. Let's use them. So hi, gang.
How's it going?
Welcome to Comic Book 101 again. What issue are we on now?
33.
33. Who is famous for issue 33? Oh, there was a G.I. Joe. Issue 33 was like the first introduction of one of the major villains, I think Serpentor, from his introduction to the comics. So anyway.
I love G.I. Joe.
That's how my brain works. I can't remember my daughter's birthday, but I can remember G.I. Joe issue 33.
Found out the voice actor for Baroness is going to be at Pensacon next year in February.
I have some news about Pensacon that I'm not 100% certain I can say yet.
Well, I've already been talking to him about getting press passes and interviewing everybody. Hopefully,
I'll possibly be there with Bard's Tower, so that's what we're working on. So, anyway, which is a group that hosts authors. So,
Jim Butcher,
yeah, who is possibly, but who knows? We'll see who they get there. So,
how was your week?
My week has been crazy because it's Halloween, it's October,
yes,
so it's Spooktober. So
and it's nice outside. The hot weather disappeared.
Although it's coming back tomorrow, we had our 3 days of fall. So it was nice. Yeah, we get our 11 and a half months of summer, and then 3 random days of fall, 3 random days of winter, and then maybe 6 months of spring because it's allergies and summer all rolled into one. So, but anyway, besides that. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of appearances virtually, a lot of podcast stuff and a lot of radio shows, already recording stuff that'll air at Halloween, but we've already recorded it and stuff like that. So that's been part of what we've been doing. We just got back from our trip, and then that all happened. So, and on top of that, I started my annual reading of my October books.
All right, what is your October book? So let's go through. Tell us about that.
Well, okay, so as an author and as a reader, I like to read specific books every Halloween. Every October, I read Dracula, again, the original. I read The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, classic. I read War of the Worlds and listen to it, the original radio broadcast. And I usually listen to the Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds. We do that on every trip, but I'll listen to that too. So those are my 3 mains. But then there is This Joy. This is Roger Zelazny's last book, A Night in the Lonesome October, and it's not one a lot of people know about, but those that do love this book. And every chapter is a night in October. It actually starts on September 30th, so I started it last night. And
so do you read a chapter each day then?
I read a chapter each day. Now, some chapters are like 2 pages. Some chapters are 20 or 30 pages because a lot of stuff happens on them. Now, this is from the story of Snuff, who is Jack the Ripper's dog. Okay. And
so was the dog there watching the killings happen?
There's stories behind this. So this is the point of view of the animal companions to the main character. So there's Snuff, who is works with a guy named Jack. It's not necessarily Jack the Ripper, but he has to do bad things or worse things will happen. And he has to protect the world from certain things. And so he has to collect magical ingredients. And then there's a witch with her cat, Grey Malk. There's the bat who hangs out with the Count. The bat's name is Needle. There's a snake that hangs out with a mad monk. And everybody's got their things. And then there's this one guy named Larry Talbot, for those who are familiar with the Universal Monsters. He doesn't seem to have an animal companion, because those who know Larry Talbot is his own animal companion because he's the Wolfman. And then the great detective shows up to figure out what's going on because all these weird things are happening in this town. And what it is every so often a great game occurs. And some of these people are openers and some of these people are closers. And what they're opening or closing is a gateway to the Lovecraftian gods. And so there are rules for the game. There are all these things. You don't know who's an opener, who's a closer, and all this. And this is all done from Snuff's perspective. And it is amazing. And
I need to check this book out now.
It's a hard one to get, but it is still available a lot of places. And a lot of people do their own dramatic readings of it. So if you go on YouTube, you can find a lot of people who read a chapter a day for it. I've been asked to do it myself.
I was going to say, why aren't you doing that?
I'm waiting for Zelazny's family to say, yeah, it's okay, before I start joining that crowd, because I am such a huge fan.
You want their blessing?
I want their blessing before I do it. A lot of other people are just doing it because, hey, you can. But I'd rather get that. So anyway, that
sounds really good.
So this is a lot of fun, and then of course I'm reading my comics. So I got to read my spooky comics.
See, for Halloween, it's movies. Certain movies I watch every time. Hocus Pocus, Beetlejuice was last night, so I sat through and watched that. You probably watch that another 20 times this month.
We should do an episode of spooky movies, but that's not comics. So we'd do that maybe for Nerd Talk one night. We'll list our favorite spooky movies, and we'll do right before Halloween we could do that.
And I meant to change my profile picture on Facebook because Hocus Pocus, I got to interview Binks the Cat.
Oh, wow.
So
awesome.
he's a voice actor, and he was at MetroCon a few years ago.
I thought you got to interview the animatron. So
no,
because that animatron, you know what that animatron was also used for just a couple years later?
Sabrina, the Teenage Witch.
Cat.
Yep. But yeah, James Marsden, we got to interview him. He was super cool. He was also Max in Goofy Movie.
Yeah.
And he was Eddie Munster in the remake of the show. So he was a really cool guy. So I'm like, I need to put me and him as a profile picture again.
Nice.
Because it's Halloween time.
Nice.
So it's been a busy, fun week.
It's been crazy, yeah. So anyway, that's all that's new at Fit to Print for Comic 101. So let's get to the show.
Also, we got a Discord channel now.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. I forgot about that.
So, we have a Nerd Talk Discord, and inside that we have all the Discords groups for Comic Book 101. We're going to have a Yuri Travels, Tech Shamans. Everything nerdy is going to be in there. So if you want to invite, message the page, put it in the note on the chat right now, and after the show, I'll definitely put the link in there, because the link's only good for 24 hours, and you got to get a new link.
You got to get a new link, yeah.
So, and I can't do a link every day, because
that would be a lot of work.
Yeah, I'll fill up the page real quick.
Very true.
So let's go ahead and start with our housekeeping. If you want to be a guest on the show, comic book guest, cosplay guest, anything, email us. Guest host. We may be having another guest host coming soon. Email us at home, comicbook101tv.com, info, comicbook101tv.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, comicbook101tv.com. Follow my Twitch play, Cosplay in Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah, that's new.
Yes.
Yeah, so when does that start?
So I got my Twitch all set up officially yesterday. I got everything pretty much done. I did a test run last night for like 5 minutes of the game just to make sure I could do the sound and everything looked good, and I could record it. That was good. I just got to get lights now because the overhead lights are too bright and I need a better light for me. That's going to be taken care of, but I'm going to start probably streaming Sunday, Mondays, and Fridays.
Okay. We were talking about the new Nerdosphere area that they're building, and we were discussing some games we could play. And I've got them peaked on an old classic called Starship Artemis, the bridge simulator.
We were talking about, John was asking me about that Saturday. Where do you get that game? I'm like, I don't know.
I set us up with a copy that I've owned for years, so we've got it. Now we just got to get it ready and set it up. But if you guys have never played that, that's a fun one where everybody plays one station on a spaceship, on a starship, and it's very classic Star Trek, and you try to stay alive as long as you can. So I'm excited. We'll see how we do. So we'll boldly go, but I don't know if we'll go very far. So,
probably not. Depends who the captain is.
Depends who's steering and who's the captain. So yeah, that'll be good. So
also check out Yancey Street Comics. That's where I go pick up all my comics weekly. And, of course, Erie, Florida for Mark.
Yeah, and we are, of course, very busy this month, so that will be filling up quickly with appearances and stuff like that. We're doing Ghost Fest, October 24th.
I'm looking forward to that one.
We will be, just announced today, we will be happy hour with the historian at the St. Pete History Museum for October 22nd. Tickets are available. They're only going to have like 50 people going to be allowed in. But we will be doing it virtually online, so it'll be streaming to everybody else who wants to go. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be telling a lot of ghost stories that night, too.
The one thing I missed now this year, because I've done it the past years when I was part of the cast, Rocky Horror Picture Show. We were always at the Tampa Theater performing for Halloween. Sadly, that's not going to happen this year, and Tampa Theater is not going to be doing their big things.
Yeah, they're not doing all the shows this year. I
Yeah.
thought they'd still do it socially distanced, but I guess they're not taking any chances.
Yeah, I haven't heard
so.
anything positive about coming for that, which
No.
their events were really fun there every year.
Yeah. And then for those who followed the Creative Loafing Best of the Bay, when
Yes.
we were up for Best Podcast, Best TV Show,
Best
we did
photographer.
Best Photographer, Best Couple, Best Instagram. We didn't win.
We were the best couple.
We were the best couple. My wife and I were up for Best Couple. We didn't win anything. Didn't even get in the top 3, except for Best Book in the last 12 months. I came runner-up to Lisa Unger, so I can't complain that. She's New York Times and has an army of marketers, and I love her dearly. She's a good friend.
Did
so.
you go to the event last night for it?
I did not, because I knew we weren't winning, so I didn't go. But I've been runner-up every year, so 3 years in a row. I've been runner-up 3 times. At least this time I beat Tim Dorsey. Sorry, Tim.
I
but
heard
he
about
beat me the first year. So
I heard about the event the last minute. I'm like, oh, that's tonight. I'm not going.
Yeah, I
I don't
didn't-
think I won, so
Yeah.
I don't want to dress up and go. I'm like,
Yeah.
It was cool being nominated. I'm happy for that.
Yeah,
But-
and we like I said, Creepy got runner-up again, so that's three for 3. I'm runner-up, so
Doing
can't argue
something
that.
good.
So
So let's go ahead and go with our cosplayer of the week. Once I can find everything. Our cosplayer of the week, Kaylani_cosplay. And there's cosplay she does that just blew my mind, made me very happy, and you'll know which one it is.
oh, okay, let's see.
But what got her into
Oh, wow.
cosplay, the mere curiosity of dressing up as a character. She was bullied a lot in school in her earlier years, and she hid the fact that she loved anime and video games. After she moved and came to Florida to live in Panama, Central America, she reinvented herself and started to live life to the fullest, no matter what people said to her.
Yeah.
And she's been cosplaying for 8 years now already. And there's
Wow.
my favorite,
There you
Lady
go.
Sylvanas.
Of course.
What makes her? Why does she love cosplay? It gives her a time to take break from the ordinary, help out a lot for her mentally, and help for her creative side. She loves to draw, painting as creativity. Her favorite cosplay, probably she said her Astra Legend. Her most recent Spirit Bloom Ribbon. And what cosplay do you want to do next? She has a massive cosplay for her national contest coming up, so she's still in the works for picking which one she wants to do on that. It'll most likely be Headhunter, Akali, or Coven Camille from League of Legends.
Oh, awesome.
Which League of Legends is a great game, so I'm all up for that. But when I saw her Sylvanas, I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
Another
that's-
Sylvanas,
There's
yes.
Sylvanas for you. So
For the Horde, but she is not my queen. She burned down the tree, and I didn't approve of that.
well, she does some awesome
But
stuff.
her Wonder
so
Woman's awesome.
Thank you so much for being our cosplayer of the week. And if you would like to be our cosplayer of the week,
You can definitely
message
email
us.
message us.
join us. Join us.
Join the dark side.
us.
We have cookies
Yes,
somewhere.
somewhere, not here.
Deadpool gotta make them next time.
Yep. So he has chimichangas. So.
Chimichangas.
And you're going to wonder why Deadpool's on here. Because he's going to tie into one of our stories today. So he's not a Midnight Sun.
So yes, we're going to talk about Midnight Suns, but before we get to Midnight Suns, well, let's talk a little what we have in the notes. Midnight Suns is a fictional team of supernatural superheroes
Yes.
appearing in Marvel Comics. They've included Hellstrom, Jennifer Kale, Morbius, Werewolf by Night, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, Danny Ketch, and Johnny Blaze, and many other characters.
Yeah, the team itself first appeared around the early 90s. I want to say 92.
Yeah, in August '92. was
okay,
their first
and then they
appearance.
had
And
their
Ghost
own-
Rider #3.
Then they actually, what they did was they branded a bunch of comics with the Midnight Suns logo. So like Ghost Rider, Midnight Suns, and the Werewolf by Night, Midnight Suns. That was a big thing. Ghost Rider had like a glow in the dark cover. It was all gimmick covers
Yeah.
at that point, and so they did a lot of covers like that, and it was pretty awesome. And but it was kind of a neat way to tie in all the classic monsters, which were getting a resurgence. You had Bram Stoker's Dracula had come out, and so the dark stuff was starting to become
Yeah.
a thing, and Blade. I think, was on the way in theaters about that time, and so it was kind of a way to revitalize all that.
And now, since Marvel Cinematic Universe has taken off so huge, they're talking about bringing Blade back already.
Yep.
Hellstrom got a TV show coming up on Hulu for one season. Apparently, they already canceled it.
It's rumored that it because it's one of those they took the Marvel name off of it at the last minute. So
But
it was
even
made by the same team that did the Runaway show, which was so good.
Moon Knight got a green flag. They're supposed to be making a movie on Moon Knight. We've already had Johnny Blaze's movie.
Yeah, they're talking about bringing Ghost Rider back.
Ghost Rider, and Morbius movie's coming out soon.
Yeah, and that might have even more ties to the supernatural. And then, of course,
Doctor Strange, because the next movie's all supernatural, and it's supposed to possibly tie into WandaVision.
Which and now WandaVision's almost done and apparently going to start airing late this fall.
Yeah.
But Doctor Strange is starting filming this month. Benedict Cumberbatch just announced that today, that they're heading for filming. So
which is good. I can't wait for that one. It's going to be an R-rated movie.
Sam Raimi. That's all I care about.
It's going to be interesting. I'm excited.
I am a Raimi fan. If you're a Halloween fan, you're a Raimi fan probably.
Yeah.
So you love your Evil Dead, and oh god, what was the one? Drag Me to Hell. That was his PG horror one, but it was still scary. But loved it.
So before we talk about the team, let's talk about some of the key team members that are in this.
Okay, yeah,
So-
because these guys were basically Marvel's horror characters. They all showed up at one point or another in the past. This was their answer to Justice League Dark at one point. But
If it's horror characters, why was Punisher in it? He's just a
it
killer.
also kind of became the hero, the street level characters. But remember, at one point, the Punisher was Franken Punisher, because he was made into a Frankenstein monster, and that's when he was part of the Midnight Suns.
Okay, so that's the Punisher that we got in that.
Yeah, and then now, so for Johnny Blaze to be part of Midnight Suns, Johnny Blaze was also, at this point, no longer Ghost Rider. It had passed the mantle to Danny Ketch, who was another young guy who had got the spirit, but he could still shoot hellfire out of his shotgun, stuff like that. So Johnny Blaze still had some issues with it, but let's go to each character. Yeah, so keep going. Let's list some of these others.
Damien Hellstrom is the first one.
Yes.
In 1964 is when the first one came out.
Son of Satan.
Yes. He first appeared in Ghost Rider as well.
Yep, and Marvel just basically said, we have all these crazy, satanic people are panicking about comic books being evil and all this, and they're like, they had just come out of that, and they started going, you know what? Fine,
And this
we don't
one
care.
did that. It started talking more about the supernatural, more about the occult and stuff like that in this comic. So it's quite interesting for that.
Yeah, they'd kind of danced around it with Doctor Strange and all that, but then this one is literally the son of Satan, and he's, he didn't really hit hard. He did right off the bat. He was a big hit because he was in Marvel's Spotlight, I believe, and that was where they were adding all the the crazy characters. Brother Voodoo and some of these other guys showed up in this, and it was just Marvel trying to try out some new things and see what they could do for sales. And then Son of Satan was so popular, they gave him his own series. But it didn't even last, I think, 8 issues. I think it was like 6 or 7 issues. It
didn't go too far.
It didn't go well. But it was, it had Wiccanism, it had Satanism, it had all that. But they kept bringing him back.
Yeah, he's
Hellstrom
been
kept coming
part of
back.
Defenders, God Squad, Hellfire Club, Masters of Evil, Midnight Suns, Shadowhunter, SHIELD, the Paranormal Containment Unit.
Of course.
So he's been in some
and
groups.
he's even been fighting the Marvel Zombies at one point, if I recall. So it's crazy stuff. So
And we also have a trailer for him.
we have a trailer for Hellstrom.
Yes.
Oh, for the new show.
For the new show.
Let's see that.
For centuries, we've been fighting and keeping track of different things that move in and out of this world. The most dangerous ones, we find a way to contain. This is one of the worst ever.
Mom, can you hear me? I demand to speak with my mother.
I am Mother.
My body is a cage.
It's Mom.
The thing that's got a hold of her, it's gotten stronger.
This family is unnatural behavior. I've never experienced anything like it.
What happened to them? It wasn't some random family tragedy. Their father was evil, and mother cursed him for discovering the truth.
There are other forces at play here. A demon so powerful, it could wipe out all of mankind. We can't do this alone.
If we put them together now,
There will be blowback.
Please tell me the is dead.
My body is a...
You come crawling back. Looking for mommy's love.
The last thing the world needs is a Hellstrom family reunion.
So in a couple weeks, we'll get to see it.
I'm excited. It looks good. Like I said, it's from some of the team that was behind Runaways, which was excellent.
So I wonder, is Hulu going to just drop all the episodes all at once, or are they going to do one a week and make
Hulu
us
goes either way, so
sit
who knows?
and wait?
But it will be interesting because you notice they dropped the Marvel, everything from that Marvel, even though Disney owns Marvel and owns Hulu. Maybe, it's one of those, we'll see. The big thing about Hellstrom is that he later marries who becomes Hellcat. And she was in the Jessica Jones series. So that's why he ties in with the Defenders later on and stuff. So that's basically all you got to know about him.
all we know from the show so far, it says Damien and his sister Anna Hellstrom are the son and daughter of the mysterious and powerful serial killer. The siblings have complicated dynamic as they track down the world's worst humanity and each other's attitude and skills.
Well, interesting.
So
let's talk about the next Midnight Sun.
Next one's a great character. I loved him in the movies. His comics are great, and I can't wait for the new one, Doctor Strange.
The classic from Strange Tales, number 110. If you got that comic, you got some money, because that is the first appearance of Doctor Strange.
He was created by Steve Ditko and Stan Lee.
Yep. And as the master of the mystic arts and the Protect Lord Sorcerer Supreme of Earth. We know the story. Doctor Strange, Dr. Stephen Strange, brilliant surgeon, breaks his hands in a tragic accident and goes to find the mystic ways to cure it, and becomes the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth because of using his mental skills and other stuff. Makes him just a great practitioner of the arts. I think that's the original Ghost Rider hiding behind. Oh no, that's Nightmare behind him there. So
the original cover for the first comic he was in, do you know who did the pencil work on it?
No, I do not. Who was that?
Jack Kirby.
Oh, of course, definitely Kirby art. So, and it wasn't until later that they got crazy with him, and the Ditko art, the Kirby art, everybody just went crazy with it. And I love that the movie captured that so well, and Benedict Cumberbatch is him incarnate. Now, Strange, for those who don't know, was trained by the Ancient One in the comics, and also he marries Clea at one point, who runs the Negative Zone. She's the queen of the Negative Zone. So that's an interesting relationship. He has the Eye of Amagato. That's his powerful artifact, which in the comics they made it
one of the stones.
Yeah, one of the stones in the movies. Yeah, which is interesting. He also has his Cloak of Levitation, which deserves its own movie.
Yeah, the
cloak is great in the movies.
So, side note, real quick, rabbit trail. I've seen a cosplay of Doctor Strange with a cloak, but the cloak was a person.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's
he
good
just
way
wore
to do
the cloak, and he was just running around next to him. I'm like, that's the best cosplay there.
That's fantastic. And he lives at 177A Bleecker Street. And I remember going, when I was in New York, trying to find all the Marvel locations. I found the location of the Avengers Mansion. It's not anything there. And you go to Greenwich Village to look for Doctor Strange's place. It's not there. I'm like, it's cloaked.
That's why.
So, but that was my opinion on everything. So
when I went to New York last year, the only Marvel thing I got to see was the newspaper company.
The Daily Bugle.
The new Daily Bugle.
Yeah,
because they use that for many other movies.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, my favorite part of Doctor Strange is his assistant Wong, who is his butler. He is his bodyguard. He is a master chef.
Which that was his first appearance in that same comic. They didn't name him though.
Yeah, they didn't call him the name for a while. So, and again, Marvel not always the best with people of color in their names, but but that character is a badass, so it's all good. And if you read the Dresden Files books, which the new one just came out this week, Jim Butcher wrote a Dresden style book for Spider-Man called Darkest Hour, and it's still in print. You can find it. And Spider-Man teams up with Doctor Strange in this one, and at one point Peter Parker has to play a basketball game, and he needs a partner, and he gets Wong. And it has the best line ever in a series, because he's like, here's something you may not know. Wong got game.
That's it. I'm done. That's it.
Well, do we have the trailer for
Yes,
Doctor
we have
Strange?
the trailer for Doctor Strange.
Let's watch the classic trailer for Doctor Strange.
This modern hospital may seem worlds apart from the days of ancient sorcerers. But for psychiatrist Stephen Strange and his beautiful patient, this is where those worlds collide. And the nightmare begins.
We're here interviewing the founder of the LaFay method, a woman who in the last few days seems to have taken at least a part of New York City by storm, so to speak. Here to tell us more about it is the force behind the LaFay method, Morgan LaFay. Miss LaFay, can you tell us just what it is exactly that the method does?
Quite simply, it unlocks the hidden potential within you. It's a way of realizing your own powers and using them to get what you really want out of life.
There was an old man and pushed him over a railing in front of a car.
Nothing Stephen Strange learned in medical school could prepare him for an attack by an evil sorceress from the fourth dimension. A villainess who can only be stopped by an earthly master of the mystic arts.
Come in.
Thank you.
You're telling me you're a sorcerer. I came here to try to help a patient of mine.
Come and take him into our domain.
Now it's up to Stephen Strange to take the place of the Earth's last sorcerer.
Have I become the sorcerer?
You should learn whose powers to respect.
Come along for a fantastic adventure into the fourth dimension with Doctor Strange.
Now, I don't remember the effects being that bad when I saw this in theaters. That was the TV one. That was from the 70s. Oh!
Was it from the 70s?
I thought I was just having another seizure. Jeez. Yeah.
Say, what drugs was I on when that came out?
No, that was the classic. That was actually the first live-action appearance of Doctor Strange. Not many know about that one. It came out at the same time. They had done the Spider-Man show, and they were doing the Hulk. They're like, we got to do
Hulk's
Doctor Strange.
the only one that was successful.
Oh, Spider-Man did like 3 movies and a series, so it wasn't unsuccessful. It just wasn't
the best.
And it also wasn't as well loved.
But what about the Fantastic Four movie when they did that?
We'll go into an episode on that when we do Fantastic Four at some point, though.
Now let's watch the trailer that everybody knows.
Okay, if we have to.
Doctor Strange, you think you know how the world works? What if I told you the reality you know is one of many?
This doesn't make any sense.
Not everything does. Not everything has to. Through the mystic arts, we harness energy and shape reality. We travel great distances in an instant.
How do I get from here to there?
How did you become a doctor?
Study and practice, years of it. There's a strength to him.
But is he ready?
Be careful which path you travel down, Strange. Stronger men than you have lost their way. I am death. And pain. You'll die protecting this world.
I can't do this.
There is no other way.
I've spent so many years peering through time, looking for you.
What's this, my mantra?
It's the Wi-Fi password. We're not savages.
Such a good movie.
It was great, and Mordo doing well, and they teased a lot of everything. And Wong being Benedict Wong playing Wong, perfect. Can't go wrong with that. Benedict Wong is one of my favorite actors, so loved him in What We Do in the Shadows this season as a necromancer. So let's talk about our next guy, another classic Marvel spooky hero.
So there were two of them in the group, so I picked a more popular one that everybody knows about. Probably because of the movies with Nicolas Cage.
Oh!
And he was actually my favorite Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze.
Johnny Blaze. See, I'm a fan of the original, the Western guy, Carter Slade. But
Which
Johnny
we
Blaze
see him in the movie.
Yeah, is great. And this was some crazy stuff. Again, Marvel Spotlight, number 5, I think, is his first appearance. Yeah, and just an incredible character. And he's a daredevil. But he's not Daredevil. He's Ghost Rider.
Yes.
And he gets makes a deal with the devil and
with Mephisto,
and becomes
his surrogate father.
Yes, but of course
the deal comes with a little catch.
Yes, that he has to be the spirit of vengeance, and he it's just crazy. Who got that video? That's good. He's the Zarathos, the spirit of vengeance possesses him, and there's been recent twists where he's actually an angel and other things like that. I think they've retconned that a couple times already too. But he's just this. He gets the flaming skull. He rides a motorcycle. Again, Marvel just iconic character creation and all that. And so of course he's awesome, and then he eventually cures his curse. He gets the spirit of vengeance taken from him, and it goes to the next guy, Danny Ketch, who gets it again later on. Again, a similar.
What did Danny Ketch use for transportation?
He had a motorcycle too.
Okay,
so he was a motorcycle guy too.
So it was the one after him.
And then it's Robbie Reyes who gets it later on, who's the one who was the car.
Yeah, which we see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and in the
badass car.
Now there's a great during Secret Wars. There was where all the worlds were combined. Doom and combined all the universes into one battle world. There's one section where everybody watches a big sports arena, and it's the Ghost Riders, and they all race every day, and it's Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch and Robbie Reyes, and they're all just riding around in this Circus Maximus type setting, run by
That'd
arcade.
be actually pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. I'm like, man, if I lived in the Battle World, I'd be watching that every week because that's pretty awesome.
Who's your favorite Ghost Rider?
Like I said, I think I got to go with Carter Slade, the original, the Wild West one. They kind of retconned him into the past, but he actually appeared in some old comics in the 60s, and then they made him part of the Marvel Universe by retconning him. And that was like Stan Lee did that with Captain America, bringing him from Timely Comics. This was the same thing. He brought, this guy, Carter Slade, the Ghost Rider, and made it, he was a spirit of vengeance too. We just didn't know that. That time he was just a masked, vigilante. Yeah. So,
and we do have a trailer of this. It's for the Spirit of Vengeance, the second movie.
The second movie. So.
This thing
vengeance. Just hunger. The rider's going to come out. And when he does, he'll destroy whoever's got it coming. He'll take on a new form. One more powerful than he's ever known.
I'm not afraid of you.
We should be.
What if you have to pee while you're on fire?
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
He needs to go to the doctor, have that checked out. If it's burning that
I had
bad.
shots that took care of that, man. I didn't have that problem for long. So, but oh man, I mean, so there's the thing about Nick Cage. He is a huge comic nerd, and he at one
very
point
big nerd.
had the greatest collection in the world, and the comic book price guide used to be based on what he sold his stuff for, or what he bought his stuff for. So, until he had to sell it all after a bankruptcy.
Didn't he have Superman 1?
He had all of them. He had, Batman,
'Cause I remember
he had
seeing an
Detective
interview
Comics
and
27.
he's showing all of them locked
He
up
had
and
everything.
everything.
He's still got a few. He's rebuilt it a little bit, but I remember the bankruptcy. That was like the thing that he was crying over.
And you know what he named his son?
No, what's his son's name?
Kal-El.
Oh, Kal-El, yeah. So it's cool that he got to play such a crazy over-the-top character. And yes, Nick, I honestly, recasting him now would be tricky. I'm curious who they'll bring in. But I would like to see...
I wouldn't mind seeing him come back as Ghost Rider.
I wouldn't mind seeing him come back as Johnny Blaze and then
Passing the torch
pass
or
it to
something.
a Danny Ketch.
I'd be fine with that.
Or, bring back Robbie Reyes from the S.H.I.E.L.D. show. He was fine. He did a good job. But honestly...
I want to see him come into the Marvel universe.
If you bring Nick Cage in as what he becomes later, Blaze, where he's just in a trench coat with a shotgun that shoots hellfire and has prophetic dreams... That's a role made for Nick Cage. Come on, that's fantastic. So now you saw a little tease there. They called it the Marvel Knights imprint.
Yes.
That was another version of the Midnight Suns. Was later on they called them Marvel Knights because that was more the dark side of Marvel Comics. It was trying to be a bit more Batman-esque.
So what that Marvel Knight? There were other shows on TV that went into that night thing.
Yeah.
Baywatch, the great show that
Baywatch Nights,
went to Baywatch Nights, which was a
little
supernatural type.
A little different, yeah. But that's exactly that was.
They went like ghosts
trend.
and stuff, and
that
everything.
was a trend at the time, and that was, and again, Marvel was just jumping on that with that. So, and that was to tie it into our next guy, who we should mention is another classic Marvel hero, and another supernatural badass for Halloween. You can't go wrong with the Daywalker, Blade. Yes, Tomb of Dracula, just Tomb of Dracula number 10, a supporting character brought in just to try to kill Dracula. And but then he became so popular that he became a badass.
Look at that 70 version of him, Will Fro and everything.
Oh, yeah. And he did so much. And, he was, as a character, he fought... Oh my gosh! So
he
many
had a big thing with Morbius.
Vampires. Morbius was big to do with him. He had, he's the son of a human who got turned into a vampire while he was being born. So that is why he can walk in the day, and why the vampires love him. There was a big storyline with the Darkhold, which was this book of power. It's basically the Marvel Universe's Necronomicon, and if you read certain spells out of that book, it would destroy all the vampires in the universe forever. And so the vampires want that book. Blade wants that book. All the vampire hunters want that book. Blade had partners like crazy, like Hannibal King and also Bloodstone and some of the others who would later go on to become
he was
characters
in
Midnight Suns.
Avengers, MI-13, Night Stalkers, Vanguard, Mighty Avengers.
He's in Secret Avengers, more modern occurrences. And
the first comic he was in was actually written by Marv Wolfman as well.
Yes.
And penciled by Gene Colan.
Yep, and that's who co-created him. And then was it the Harkers, Quincy, Harker, and all that? Because Marvel had access to Dracula because he's a public domain character. You could write a Dracula comic if you want to right now. You just can't use any of the Marvel stuff. You have to make your own. But Dracula is now in the public domain, so that's why we're seeing so many Dracula movies and all that. Blade, however, is not in the public domain because he's a Marvel character, but he also had an awesome movie series, and I don't think it gets nearly enough credit.
No,
this is
it was the first comic book movie that was R-rated.
Yeah, and it was.
That's the thing. Everybody's like, "Oh."
I think the Punisher beat it, but it was the one that went straight to video, the Dolph Lundgren one. But
Was
this
that?
came
I
out
thought that
right
was
after that.
PG-13.
No, that was R. That was a hard R. But Blade came out, and man, it blew my mind. That opening scene in Blade it changed the world. It changed the world for me because then I was like, oh my gosh. At first I thought, oh, okay, this will be a bad guys. We'll see how bad they are, how much they kill these people. But then when Blade showed up at the end of that first scene, you're like, oh my god, he's gonna kill everyone in here, and then he does.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And Wesley Snipes, his star knew no bounds at that point. So if only he paid his taxes.
Because he was a black belt in karate. He studied martial arts and everything, so he was the right pick for this. He did that movie.
Incredible. And Marvel had sold the rights to this character. I think it's a B-movie character. We don't care about anything like this. We would not have the Marvel Universe today if that movie hadn't been such a success.
And we have the trailer for the first movie.
Oh, can't go wrong with that. Let's watch that.
You better wake up. The world you live in is just a sugar-coated topping. There is another world beneath it. The real world.
For thousands of years, they have existed among us.
You keep your eyes open. They're everywhere. Chances are you've seen them yourself and didn't know it.
A secret nation.
Our livelihood depends on our ability to blend in.
With a lust for power.
We should be ruling the humans. These people are our food.
They've got their claws into everything. Politics, finance, real estate.
There's a war going on out there. He makes the weapons. I use them.
Now, one will lead them to conquer mankind.
Tonight, the age of man comes to an end.
We're gonna be gods.
And one will try to stop him dead.
There are worse things out tonight than vampires.
Like what?
Like me.
Half human.
Blade's mother was attacked by a vampire while she was pregnant.
Half immortal.
You got the best of both worlds. All our strengths, none of our weaknesses.
He is their greatest fear and our only hope.
It's open season on all vampires.
Wesley Snipes, Stephen Dorff.
You're one of them, aren't you?
No, I'm something else.
Blade.
Such a good movie.
And
It
then
had
the second
Stephen
one-
Dorff, Chris Christopherson in it.
Oh, Chris Christopherson as Whistler. Oh my gosh. And then they bring in the second one.
I love the second one because I told you earlier because of Ron Perlman.
Ron
He's one
Perlman
of my
and
favorite actors. He was
the
in
Blood
that
Pack,
one.
all the
Yeah.
vampire assassins that Danny John Jewel, the cat from Red Dwarf, and it was Guillermo del Toro directed the second one. So it's again amazing. Series. The third one gets a lot of flack because they kind of went a different direction with it. They made it even more wacky.
So I like the third one. I love Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
And the fact that they have vampire Pomeranian in that movie. was hilarious. And Triple H Wrestler was the height of his career at the time as well, and he did a little thing in the movie.
Yeah. Now, what was fun with the third one is Ryan Reynolds was playing a character from the Midnight Suns universe, Hannibal King, a vampire killer, and he's kind of just this badass dude in the comics, but he's kind of bland. And what happened was while they were filming the third one, again, David Goyer, who done the first one, was coming back for the third one. He takes Ryan Reynolds aside and says, look, you're not playing this guy. Because Ryan Reynolds is a comic book nerd.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to Hannibal King. I don't know much about him. So he picked up all the comics, and he's like, he's kind of nothing. He's like, no, I don't want you to play him. I want you to play this guy. And he hands him a copy of X-Force, and it's Deadpool. He's like, we're going to make this guy into this guy. And that's who you're going to be. And that became Ryan Reynolds' love affair with Deadpool head. Right there. So that's why we brought the Deadpool head out here. So yes, Blade led to Deadpool. So yes, Blade 3 may not be your favorite Blade. I liked it. I thought it was still great.
You also had Jessica Biel that played Abigail Whistler.
Oh, yeah.
Parker Posey was in it.
Oh, yeah, a lot of names. And what's his face? The guy from Prison Break and Legends of Tomorrow plays Dracula.
Yeah.
In that, I cannot remember his name. Sorry. We'll need whoever producer.
Dominic Purcell.
Dominic Purcell, thank you.
And Natasha Lennon was in it from American Pie and a bunch of other movies.
Good stuff. And definitely watch the Blade trilogy this Halloween. You will not be disappointed.
I watch all three every
action,
year.
horror, good stuff. So now we talked about the next guy on a previous episode.
Yes, we did a whole episode on this one.
Yes, that is Moon Knight. Who is getting his own series, and rumors are it might be Keanu coming to the Marvel Universe playing Mark Spector, the Moon Knight.
They've been wanting him in the universe. Keanu wants to be it, but they're trying to give him the best part possible.
Appeared first in Werewolf by Night, then went into his own series. He's Marvel's Batman for the most part, except he's got Egyptian powers. He's a millionaire playboy. He's also a former mercenary. He's also got other personalities. He's split personalities. And then, here he is fighting Werewolf by Night, another Midnight Sun. Because, hey, let's throw in all the supernatural spooky guys. So the only one they don't throw in is Frankenstein. But I think he actually shows up at one point helping him out.
So they all end up working for this company called Armor.
Armor, yes, which has nothing to do with S.H.I.E.L.D., has nothing to do with Sword. Oh, wait, it does. It's another Marvel acronym.
Yes. It's Alternate Reality Monitoring and Operational Response Agency on Earth 616.
Yes, so they look out for invasions from other dimensions involving supernatural entities, not to be confused with Strike, which is the one that other interdimensional stuff. So
we have Sword, we have S.H.I.E.L.D., we have Strike.
We have Hammer.
Yeah.
Hammer at one point was what, when Norman Osborn took over S.H.I.E.L.D., when he became president, which is a long story. We'll get into that one day. He came up with the name Hammer to rename S.H.I.E.L.D. Hammer. And somebody said, well, what does Hammer stand for? He's like, that's your first job. Just figure out what that stands for.
But I'd hate to have that job.
Yeah, and of course, this all ties back into Deadpool. Deadpool brings the zombie plague from Marvel Zombies into the main Marvel Universe. The whole point of the Marvel Zombieverse was it was never supposed to cross over with any other universe. But then they killed Galactus in their universe and get cosmic powers and start trying to destroy other universes. So it became the plague that was going to destroy all reality. So that's why Armor was created to prevent that. To
stop that.
And so, of course, they need somebody who can fight zombies. So they get, let's get Blade. Let's get, Jocasta, who was an Iron Man goddess, and Machine Man, Black Cat, Topaz, Howard the Duck. He travels dimensions.
Iron Fist, Elsa Bloodstone.
Now, Elsa is one of my favorite characters.
Frank Drake.
We'll have to do a Bloodstone hunt.
Darkhold Redeemers were also part of it.
Which is also, the leader to the Midnight Suns and stuff. So Hannibal King comes for part of that. Hellstrom, as we said.
Scarlet Spider.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. So we brought the Clone Saga in on this. They brought back anything from the 90s that they could fit into this. Morbius comes back for that, I think, too. It was pretty cool. It was a neat series, and it was a nice tie-in.
How does Morbius and Blade get along working together since they've always
it's always the villains that team up, because the greater evil. That's the way Marvel always works. You have the bad guys. It's like why Doctor Doom teams up with the Fantastic Four so many times to fight something more evil.
It's like, yes, we may hate each other, but that's a worse evil. Let's just team up, get rid of this, then we can hate each other.
Better the evil we know than the evil we don't.
Yeah.
Dr. Doom stays in his country. We'll deal with this. So.
We know how to deal with Doom. We don't know about this.
So anyway, it all ties in to what becomes the Midnight Suns. Marvel, like in the 90s, decides to bring all these characters together for a big epic crossroads, and they bring them back. It was a 6-issue series, but they also did a few others. They started branding them as the Midnight Suns. They all are teamed up there. So there's Hannibal King, there's Morbius, there's Ghost Rider. They've got, Nightmare, Blade, and Dr. Faustus and a few others. And it's crazy. Danny Ketch, is the Ghost Rider in this one. There's Blaze with his shotgun. See, you can see Nick Cage pulling that off. Come on. And basically, Lilith is the mother of all monsters, not to be confused with Dracula's daughter Lilith, also a Marvel character, but not part of this. And Lilith has got her children, Blackout, who's an old Ghost Rider villain, and a bunch of others are going to take over the world. They're just coming in to take over the world. And even Nightmare is upset about this, so he joins in with them.
And she has her other children, Pilgrim, Nakota, and Meat Market.
Meat Market, yeah.
What a name. I'm naming you Meat Market.
Yeah, so she starts creating more and more villains and monsters, and because she's just, I guess that's what she does. I guess she doesn't have to take 9 months, so it's a little different for her. And so they have to team up to stop this. And it grows into this huge epic story. They bring in the Night Stalkers, Frank Drake, Hannibal King, and then they bring in the Redeemers, which are the Montesi, which is a big thing in Marvel, is the Montesi formula. That is the cure for vampirism. That's what Blade uses, that he has to inject himself with constantly, is the Montesi formula. So that was another one of those.
Did we ever get that name in the movie?
I don't think so. Now, what was funny is in that show I made you guys watch, Middleman, years ago, they did a vampire puppet episode, and Dracula is a puppet, and he bites the middleman, and the middleman's like, oh gosh, we have to do the Darkhold protocol, which is a Marvel nod. And then he mentioned, Ida is injecting him with the injection. She says, I've injected you with the Montesi formula. That should cure it in case it sets before it sets in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Marvel ties. So that show was underappreciated, and we love you, guys who made Middleman. We'll call you later. So we will do another Middleman show at some point. But the Darkhold, they get the page of the Darkhold that will summon, again, the Necronomicon of the Marvel Universe to close off the gateway. And that's the whole point of the comic, is Lilith wants it to stop them, and they want it to save them. And in the whole time, behind the scenes, Doctor Strange has been organizing all this. And he doesn't actually pop in till late on in the comic. Crazy, crazy story. Definitely worth your time. And they brought back the Midnight Suns a couple times since in just little snippets and things like that, but never as a complete thing again. They did them in Secret Wars again in bits. So now Elsa Bloodstone, I want to go into her for a moment, if we can. Can we diverge down a rabbit hole here? Elsa Bloodstone is the daughter of Bloodstone, who is this guy who hunted monsters in the 60s and 70s. And he was basically Marvel's Conan, Man of Bronze. We talk about doing a pulp episode. We're going to get you on here, Doug, and Doug Abbott, and we're going to get you to do a pulp show. But this guy was Marvel's answer to that. He was a monster hunter. He had this stone in his chest that let him do all this. And he was basically just a blonde, blue-eyed superhero killing monsters. And he was pretty bland. And then later on, we find out he's dead in the 70s. And in the 80s, Captain America did a thing called the Bloodstone Hunt, where he went looking for his stone from his body, because it was actually the magic stone that gave him all his powers and stuff. We never found it. That was the whole story with him and Diamondback teaming up to do this. It was a great epic story. And but we did find out he had a daughter, Elsa. And now Elsa is a monster hunter too. She wears jodhpurs. She carries a shotgun
not the
and
Elsa
machine
that-
guns.
Let it snow, let it snow.
No, this is Elsa Bloodstone, and she is badass, and she is awesome. And Deadpool put it best. He's like, look at her. She's unfairly hot. You cannot kill her. Yeah, and then he's trying, at one episode, in one issue of him, he's trying to protect his friend who's a zombie. One of the Marvel zombies that's trying to redeem himself. And, but could start the zombie plague in the regular Marvel universe. He's kept him secret from armor, and Elsa is on the hunt for him, and he's like, she will kill you, man. She will kill you. So we got to protect you. But there's a great bit of Elsa where she's standing there with all the big monsters destroyed, and it was a pinup page from one of the Marvel Spotlight issues for Halloween. And she's sitting there with all these dead monsters, and she's talking to this little monster that's no bigger than this little dragon head. It looks like a little rhino with 6 legs and stuff. And she's like, my job is to kill the big bad monsters. My job is to stop things, from destroying the world. And if you grow up to be like that, I will totally end you. And then the thing just kind of goes, wolf. And she goes,
okay.
I will destroy anything that ever hurts you. So, there she is. That's Elsa. Look at that. Can't go wrong. Thanks, Rob. Oh, doing that on the fly. I'm sorry I forgot to put her in here. So.
All right, she looks like a badass there.
She's a badass. She's totally badass and totally a fun character. So, and Dimple's like, she's got the British accent. That just is awesome. So I'm hoping she comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe at some point. So, oh man, well we made it to the end of another one. Happy Halloween.
Yes.
We're on the way.
It's only started for this. We got a lot to talk about this month.
We've got spooky books galore.
Spawn,
This
Tales
is my
from
month.
the Crypt. It's going to be a nice spooky month.
Yep. So we got a lot to bring up. We just did Goon last week. That was awesome. And we got a comment from Eric Powell, who watched the episode, who created the Goon. He said, why did you talk about such a shitty comic? Sorry. Oh, I said a bad word, so my bad. But that was his quote. So, but that was great. So thank you Eric Powell, for watching.
Eric.
We loved
That's
it.
awesome.
So, and if you have anything you want us to watch, or read, reach out to us.
We'll talk about anything. If we don't know about it, we will learn it real quickly.
Yeah. But anyway.
Follow us. Email us home and info at comicbook101tv.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, comicbook101tv.com. If you want to join our Discord server, just message us in the comments, and I'll drop the link in there right away for you. And again, follow Mark at Erie, Florida.
ErieFlorida.com. And
Buy
we
his
will
books.
see you on the other side. See you in the funny pages.